book club. There will be spoilers. This is for Dungeon Crawler Carl. This is for our August read. So if this is not your cup of tea, maybe you didn't finish the book, you don't want to be spoiled, you want to read it later, no problem. Make sure that you mute and lurk, okay? If you want to, obviously, and come back because we're going to be playing Water Park Sim after with Twitch integration. As long as you see this up, we're not done, okay? So if this is still up here, it's danger zone. All right? We're going to go into our overview and then our questions and anything else that y'all want to discuss. All right? So I'll give y'all a couple of moments just to make sure you're set up okay, and then we'll dive in. Connor, hi. Parrot, thank you. No worries, Was. And like I said, if you want, like, we're going to have 2 months. You can jump in anytime. We'll still be putting the VOD on YouTube. So if you end up reading it later by yourself and you want to come back and like do the questions or watch the VOD, like it'll be there. This is very much kind of like a mash between book club and Teacher Violet. So it's something really special, but it'll still be there for you whenever you want it. Thank you guys. Snowfy, hi, you loved it. Who is the author of Grim Tidings? My babe, my legend, BK Borison. You might have heard me talk about her for First Time Caller. And now back to you. Good Spirits. She's also known for Love Light Farms. Yeah. We got you. We got you. Yeah, no worries, sweetheart. All right. Let's get it going, shall we? Written by Matt Dinneman, Dungeon Crawler Carl is a contemporary fantasy and lit RPG, literary role-playing game, novel that blends humor and adventure with a unique structure that deliberately mimics game mechanics common to such RPGs as the classic Dungeons & Dragons. The novel is the first installment in a series. The novel begins in Seattle, Washington, and follows Carl, an ordinary guy who accidentally survives a near-extinction event when all man-made structures collapse. Carl and his ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Donut, become trapped in a bizarre and deadly reality show and must make their way through an 18-level dungeon. To survive, participants called crawlers must navigate treacherous obstacle courses, battle monsters, and solve puzzles, and all of their efforts are televised for the entertainment of a galactic audience. Dungeon Crawler Carl encompasses Carl's exploits as he works through the first 2 levels of the dungeon, and the novel ends as Carl and Princess Donut reach level 3. Blending humor with the conventional mechanics of gaming, Dungeon Crawler Carl is a story of survival, resilience, and the complexities of relationships in intense circumstances. Dinneman blends fantasy elements, alien politics, and present-day culture to create an unconventional narrative that also manages to poke fun at the conventions of gaming mechanics and the gaming community as a whole. Through Carl's eyes, the novel explores themes of the human capacity for resilience, the ethical implications of sadistic entertainment, and partnership and loyalty under duress. So, for my first question, out of 5 stars, what would you rate this? God damn it, Donut! Steph, you said 6 stars. Really, Dancer Girl? How many books are there in total? Is there 7 or 8? I gave it 4 stars. While I really enjoyed the novel, and it was my first ever lit RPG, I found some mechanics to be a bit repetitive and redundant, which sometimes annoyed me or took me out of the book itself. Ariel, 4 out of 5. Pepper, hi, honey, 4 out of 5. 8 books? Okay. Gabby, 4 out of 5. Doc, you gave it 4. Okay. Gotcha. So I feel like a lot of people, we still rated it pretty high. Josette, you liked the premise, but you had to DNF. And I'm going to be so honest with you. I know I finished it. The audiobook is fantastic. I think the audiobook really did help me finish it. I can see why you DNF'd. Respectfully, I can see why you did. Yeah. I find sometimes a big hyped book just doesn't land for me. And that's totally okay. That is fine. I can understand why people like this book. Conversely, I can understand why people don't like this book. I don't know if lit RPGs are for me. This was my first one ever. I'll talk more about some of the things that I didn't like as we go through more questions. Yes, I agree, Doc. And I think part of it too was that I went in knowing a little bit like, okay, we're going to be in a dungeon. And I knew that there were other books in this series, but I thought that this is maybe crazy. I thought that we would have finished the dungeon in the first book. I thought that maybe Carl and Princess Donut would have been doing other things and maybe have been exploring other dungeons or other like D&D mechanics in future books. I was like, all that, and we just hit level 3 and there's 18 levels. Like, I personally don't think I'm going to continue the series because I feel like for me, it's going to be just very repetitive. Without the book club motivation, yeah. Oh, did you, Gabby? Because you just couldn't sit down to read it at points. Yeah. Oh, the VA was amazing. Oh my God. And like I said, even if you say you have an Audible credit, you got some extra money, you want to give it a go, or you really like the book, I would still recommend the audiobook. It was a very fun experience for me. You got grossed out by... There was some really like trigger warning stuff in here. You had like a lot of graphic violence and gore, abuse, and then also child loss. And while I know if you're out there and you've played a TTRPG like Dungeons and Dragons, I know that like you're battling enemies, but like the descriptors of some stuff in here, I was kind of shocked at that. Anybody else? Did you, Doc? You like book 2 more? You wanted him to pick a class? Yeah. Fergus, welcome. You reached the 7th book, but the first isn't the best? Okay. I feel like a lot of people say that about other series too. Like ACOTAR as an example, where it's like 50-50 if people like that first book or not, but they're like, oh, the rest are amazing. Yeah, Hitchhiker's Guide to that, sure. Wanderings, you're so fine. Oh, I'm so glad. I hope you love it. The foot thing was crazy too. Yeah, and it's like, it's dealing with it in such a manner. I don't have like a question related to it on here because I feel like it's very like a big trigger for people. So I didn't want to dive into it too much, but it has to do with other races and characters, and yeah, it's not great. Yeah. Oh, a 10-book series. We're going to see all 18 floors. Wow. Okay. Yeah, Gabby, I don't blame you. Let's go on to question number 2. Was this your first lit RPG? And who do you think would enjoy this book? To me, anyone that likes Dungeons and Dragons or TTRPGs inspired animes such as Delicious and Dungeon, which I really recommend if you have Netflix, will love everything this has to offer. There are moments where I swear you could feel a dice roll happening in the background. And I think that's why I'm a little disappointed, because I thought this book was right up my alley. I love D&D. I love playing it. I love watching real plays. I love everything that has to do with it. And this it missed the mark a little bit for me. Oh, really, Gabby? Okay. It's so fun, dude. I hope that we get more seasons of Delicious and Dungeon. I'm also not like a girl that's super into anime, and I loved it. That's not to say I'm not super into I like anime. I just don't have the time to watch it, I should say. Yeah. But it feels too basic for the D&D people and gamers. I kind of felt like that too. It was your first and you loved it? The audiobook? Yeah. Do you think you would? Well, I'm going to ask this as a follow-up question. For those of you, right, who read this book and you haven't played Dungeons and Dragons, does this make you want to play it? I think people who like horror but are looking for something campy would like it. It's an intense series. Yeah. And I wasn't expecting how intense it would be. A story of MMORPG and kind of reminded you of Sword Art Online. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, this shit is real for them. Me too. I was so happy to see that announcement. Yeah, so if y'all don't know, they're going to be making this into a TV show adaptation, and the audiobook narrator is going to be the voice for Princess Donut. Hi, Chaotic. Doesn't really want to make you play it. I will say, for a lot of groups, before you start playing, there's usually a session 0. So it's where everybody's fleshing out their characters, how they know each other, and there's also something called lines and veils. So this is something created by the DM, given out to all players so that they're on the same page for their boundaries and what they're comfortable with and uncomfortable with as the game progresses. So this could be stuff as simple as violence and gore, and go up to much more triggering things like relationships with other characters, sexual advances, family murder, or talk about deceased people. So to have a lit RPG that you're following along with that deals with things that I would say 9 out of 10 times isn't actually in a Dungeons and Dragons game was a little wild, I guess. Donut made it for you, but she's such a she really was. She was such a trope. I went in knowing from others that the series was very intense, so I guess most of the criticism you were aware of. Okay. You love Donut. She was your favorite. Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Question 3. Who is your favorite character and why? Goofy and campy on the surface, but there's a serious undertone and meaning. Yeah, as the series goes on, for sure. We would not describe most of these. Exactly, Doc. So for me, Princess Donut, my God. She's snarky, deeply loyal, and I loved the feline humor. Early in the novel, Donut shows confusion and bewilderment at Carl's soft-heartedness. However, as the narrative progresses, she gains a better understanding of his altruistic motivations, advancing the theme of partnership and loyalty under duress. While she is initially focused on being the main character, she learns to work in partnership with Carl, and they become stronger together and save each other's lives. Yeah, oh, she was fantastic. I loved her even before she started to talk. I loved her. She did. She was kind of like the comedic relief. There were obviously other moments too where we had comedic relief, but Donut, I feel like, carried a lot of that. I bet, Fergus. Yeah, what book are you on right now? Same with you, Dancer Growl. Yeah, she gets even better as you keep reading the books. Did anybody have a different character? Did anybody pick Carl? I liked Carl, don't get me wrong, but I feel like she stole the show, you know? Oh yeah, she mentioned Ferdinand. Donut and Chicken. Her whittle pet. Yeah, you like Carl? Question 4. And we've kind of touched upon this from some people. How much did you know about this book before picking it up, and what surprised you the most about this book? You love seeing how they learn to work together. You like Carl. You like that he's very moral and does his best while still being flawed. Yeah. Your favorite's not introduced in the first book. Had her down amazing, but you need to read more. Yeah. I think Carl's struggle is so interesting, but also Donut was meant to steal the show. Yeah, totally. Snowfie, you didn't know anything and you loved it. I knew it was going viral online, but I'm not sure what initiated it, as the first book was released in 2020. And I think it started going viral late last year, so it was already 5 years that had passed. I knew it was a sort of D&D adventure, but I didn't know anything else or even what a lit RPG was. I think I was expecting a much more fast-paced adventure where the dungeon would have been completed in the first book, as I mentioned, and maybe there would have been other adventures. I was also expecting this to exceed 5 stars for me, and it didn't, and I'm a little disappointed in that. Not in the book itself, but my perception of it. Wow, book 8. The underlying politics surprised you the most, yeah. Steadily working through the series. You thought it was mid, your husband, Pepper, but I was Surprised at how invested you got on the dungeon side characters? How light the tone was despite having some heavy themes? Yeah, it was. The pacing for me was not ideal. And again, I really think the audiobook helped that out for me. Yeah. You picked it up because you had a lot of people recommend it to you who had given you good recs in the past. A friend recommended it to you. Was just before it really started to go viral. It was wild to watch it. Yeah. What do we know, like, why it went viral? Did it just start making its rounds on Book Talk and it exploded? He has zero time. You didn't think it would be as graphic as it was? Same. Oh, really? It was turned into a TTRPG. Interesting. You were too, Snowfy, yeah. The audiobook? Oh, was it? When did the audiobook come out? I'm assuming that it came out around the time that it started to take off. If you were reading instead of listening. I still had my issues with listening, but I feel like I would have liked it less if I was just reading it. Your cousins and friends begged you to read it. Hi, Violet. A webtoon, too. Me too. I thought it would be much more lighthearted. Question 5. We already know that we're getting an adaptation into this, okay? But humor me. How would you adapt this book into a movie? Who would you cast in the leading roles? So now that I've finished, though this is an unpopular opinion, early Jensen Ackles from Supernatural would be my Carl. I feel like his demeanor fits so well, especially if you listen to the audiobook. I swear, I even heard him in the main narrator's voice. He would just be brilliant. For any fans of Critical Role, I know Princess Donut would need to be animated, but I feel like Sam Riegel would have been the perfect voice actor for her as well. I don't really have any other favorites one way or another for like other supporting cast. So yeah, Jensen Ackles for Carl, Sam Riegel for Princess Donut. Daniel Radcliffe, okay. My feeling is people were just getting back into reading in 2020. It's making the rounds 5 years later because people are just now discovering it. I guess. But I still feel like there had to have been some sort of catalyst, and I'm so curious as to what that is. So I'm wondering if like maybe a popular book talker found it, started talking about it, and it went from there. Maybe it was the audiobook coming out. Like, I feel like there must have been a reason for people discovering it. Do you know what I mean? Matt Mercer is Carl? Okay. You love the castings? Either him or Liam? These are indie, so maybe traditionally published? True. Very true. What's one that's getting traditionally published this year? By H.M. Wolf, the dystopian romance novel. Oh, my book club girls are going to kill me. They went to go see her this week on Monday or Tuesday because she was at one of my local bookstores doing a signing and talking, but I didn't want to go because I didn't finish. That's getting traditionally published in the fall. Thank you, Daggermouth. That's getting traditionally published in the fall. And to me, it was already like a book talk sensation because it was on Kindle Unlimited, but I feel like that's going to go even more viral, like New York Times best-selling list viral when that gets traditionally published. So I think that you're onto something there for sure. Matt Mercer would be perfect. I think there's also just an overall rise in popularity. Hi, Silly of D&D thanks to Critical Role, D20, and Stranger Things. True, very true. Hugh Jackman. Jeff's voice for Carl just made you think of Matt the whole time. I read like a fourth of it and I lightly DNF'd it just because of the subject matter. This was another one where it's like I was enjoying the book, but it got a little bit heavy for me. And my mental health at the time, I just couldn't push through. So, like, I do want to pick it up and read it again. For sure. For sure. The writing was fantastic. The characters were great. It was just a little bit too much for me. Yeah. A deluxe edition of Daggermouth is already in stores. Is it really? Maybe it already was trad published. I feel like I'm seeing Barnes & Noble specifically start to sell more indie stuff. You had Anne Hathaway's voice when you were reading Princess Donut. It might have been, Steph. It genuinely might have been. Let me Google it. I could have sworn it was in the fall, but maybe I'm misremembering and I'm thinking of Grim Tidings. When is Daggermouth traditionally published? You are right. We just missed it. It came out June 26, 2026 in the UK and July 28th, 2026 in the US by Scarlet Press and Tor Bramble. So you are right. It was recent. Yeah. That's all the questions that I have for y'all. Are there any other characters, plot moments, or themes you'd like to discuss that I didn't bring up? I guess I do have another question. Will you continue the series? I did make a thread in the Discord. This is under our book talk section, under book threads for Dungeon Crawler Carl series, if you would like to continue talking about it and reading the series and discussing it with other people. I tagged book club, but sometimes the tag system under like threads are kind of weird. I personally will not be continuing it for a couple of different reasons. I think that I won't enjoy the repetitiveness of it, as I mentioned before. You also know how bad I am at freaking series. If I can't even get through my romantasy series that I love, I can't handle 8 books. So I think I'm gonna end it here for myself. You'll probably continue. Helena Bonham Carter is Samantha. I like that. Steph, you're continuing. Jose, you're not going to continue. Doc, you're going to continue. You think booktube picked up the pace a little bit more? Anything else, you guys? You're on book 6. You're going to keep going. You're almost at the finish line. Hell yeah. You're going to try book 2 and see if you like it from there? Do we know, are there audiobooks for all of the rest of the series? I didn't check. Okay. You do think the politics added a much needed element. I agree with you. I liked it. Jamie Lee Curtis. Yes. There's an audio for 2. Yeah, for your available Audible credits. Yeah. Your husband's audiobooking the series? There is, Fergus. Okay, cool. Well, I have to change some stuff over, but I want to thank you all again so much for joining us for Dungeon Crawler Carl Book Club today. Thank you for communicating and sharing all your thoughts and feelings. I'm glad that for a lot of us, it was something enjoyable. If it wasn't for you, I really am sorry. I hope the next book that you read is a 12-star read. For our next book club, as I mentioned before, we're doing something very different in the channel. This is a combination of book club and Teacher Violet. We are reading a classic together. A classic that I've never read before. East of Eden by John Steinbeck. Now, John Steinbeck, though he has written a lot of classics, including, you might have heard of Mice and Men. He is very easy to read, and the actual prose itself shouldn't be a problem, but his books are thick. So to offset how big this book is, we are going to be having the next 2 months where every Friday I'm going to be posing discussion questions and, you know, certain chapters. Like for this next week, we're going through chapters 1 through 5. If you're interested in that, you're not already in the Discord, hop in the Discord. There's going to be a new role that is called East of Eden, and I'm going to be pinging people for that role, for the discussions. And then we're going to be having the on-stream discussion in late September. Let me double check the date on that. Wednesday, September 30th. So I'm giving you all we're going to have 2 full months. So even if you fall behind a little bit, you'll be able to catch up in time. And yeah, I'm calling it our classics class. And then at some point in the fall,